Today's adventure brings us to StumpHouse Mountain, right here in South Carolina, home of the only tunnel.
Only tunnel?
Only tunnel in South Carolina. There's only one. You can't drive through it. I can't take this rail car through it. But had things gone differently in 1859, oh yeah, this would be going through there. Let's go check it out. Welcome to StumpHouse Tunnel, here in StumpHouse Mountain. The work that was done on this is incredible. Now before we go in, I just want to show you off here to the right. This is how it was made. See these vertical lines? That was done with a hand drill, meaning a guy held a drill while a guy on either side of him beat the top of it with a sledgehammer till it get down to about 2 feet. Then they would fill it with black powder, put a fuse in it, light it, and then it would just blow all the rock off. That's why it's so jagged like this. The whole tunnel was done like that.
Wow.
First they came down in vertical shafts, and then they went horizontal. This is just cool. Now keep in mind, it's very dark in here, so you're gonna wanna at least bring flashlights or some kind of lighting. And it also is a consistent 56 degrees. So you wanna bring a coat. Humidity level, about 85%, so there is water dripping all the time. Also, when you're walking in here, you wanna stay in the middle. It's raised a little bit compared to the sides. As you can see, there is water on both sides. So what's the history on this place? What was it gonna be used for? Well, back in 1852, the Blue Ridge Railroad got their charter. The idea was to connect Charleston, South Carolina to Knoxville, Tennessee, and eventually connect into Cincinnati, Ohio. And seeing how it's quicker for a train to go through a mountain than around the mountain, 13 tunnels were planned along the route, 3 of them here in South Carolina. Now, we do intend to take you over to the other 2 tunnels. From what we understand, one is collapsed and the other is, well, an indoor swimming pool. Now, work began on the railroad in 1853. By 1856, the state had come out here to see how the work was progressing, and they pretty much asked the company, what have you been doing? Because nothing seemed to be done. So they hired another company from London. That company brought Irish immigrants over with them to build the railroad and to build these tunnels. By 1859, though, they had only gotten to 1,670 feet of the 5,863 feet that they needed. They ran out of money. Apparently, the blue granite is a lot harder to get to than they thought it was going to be. So they asked South Carolina for another $1 million. South Carolina said, no, we can't afford that. So work stopped. By 1861, Civil War broke out. By the time the Civil War was over, South Carolina was in no financial condition to fund this project. So it pretty much just went abandoned. That was till 1940 when Clemson University started looking at the tunnel as a place that they could age their blue cheese, because they have famous blue cheese. It worked out so well that in 1951, they blocked the tunnel. Now in 1956, they had been building a hall on their campus. What they did was they replicated the conditions inside this tunnel over in the hall, so they were able to age their cheese over there on their campus. I don't know if you can see the wall down there in Cage, but they put that in and put their cheese behind to protect it from, well, animals, people. And in 1971, it was listed on the National Register of Historic Places.
Cool. The only sad thing about this is up until 2009, the gates were open. But now you can't go through.
Nope. I'm not sure if you can see the light down there coming from the ventilation shaft that goes all the way through the roof. Maybe we'll shut all our lights off and take a shot and see if we can get that. And the shaft is down there, oh, I don't know how much, probably another 300-400 feet maybe. But it is what it is. But just the 550 feet that we were able to bring you shows you the workmanship that was done by man and their hands and their hand tools. And to give you an idea of just how hard it was to cut through all this stuff, because it's blue granite, it takes a while.
Gotcha.
When they had most of the workforce on at its prime, they were only moving 200 feet a month. That's how hard this blue granite was to get through the way that they were doing it. But this is a super cool find. And thank you, South Carolina, for allowing us to come in here. We appreciate it. Oh, P.S. It does cost you $2 to park, but you know what? More than worth it.
Definitely.
All right, so that's about the full length of this. Now, remember we told you about that vent up top for air, that we can feel that air blowing through? You want to go see it?
Yes.
All right. We're on the top of StumpHouse Mountain. Here is the ventilation shaft, the top of it. Now, as you can see, that's why the gate's closed down there. Look at all the trees that are growing out the side. You get to a point where they're just gonna start tumbling in. And that goes straight down. So you wouldn't want to be walking underneath there. The other thing that's up here is Tunnel Hill. It was the village that the workers lived in while they were building this tunnel. We're gonna see if we can't find any remains. There's not much.
I see a road.
Yeah, there's quite a few roads up here, as a matter of fact. We're not sure if they were from Tunnel Hill town or not. Or I suppose they could have been logging. But they would have had to clear something out to get all the materials that they would have needed up here to knocking that ventilation vent out.
Yep,
I think that's it right there, hon.
I think so too.
From the research we've done, this is about the only piece of Tunnel Hill that still exists. There was a time that there was 1,500 people up here, miners and their families. And it was not the nicest of towns. They had 17 saloons on here.
17?
I think we know what the favorite pastime was, huh?
I see.
It was also a rough town. But the subcontractor came up here. No one knew who he was, so they figured he might have had money. So they beat him to death for his money. They don't even know who he was. And then they buried him right where they beat him. This foundation is the only one that still remains. Most of the buildings up here were just wooden shacks. And when the project ceased in 1859, well, the town became abandoned. Then the Civil War started, and you had deserters from the war who ended up coming up here, hiding, trying to get away. And they ripped all the wood off the buildings, they burnt it, they looted anything they could. As a matter of fact, a little further up is the cemetery that had, depending on who you research through, 50 to 200 bodies. Well, it's claimed that the deserters dug up all the bodies looking for gold. So they pretty much trashed the whole cemetery too. That's just weird.
Right here. The first one we came across.
They're all unmarked, but it looks like they just dug them up and were throwing the tombstones every place. I just can't believe how it was desecrated, huh?
I know.
StumpHouse Mountain Tunnel was only one of 3 that were being built in South Carolina. We're going to take the Blue Ridge Railroad hiking trail, which was part of the railroad, and go out and find the other 2. One was called Middle and one was called Saddle.
We are following the yellow trail.
We were not sure if Middle Tunnel was going to be marked, but it is. This tunnel was actually complete. It took 2 years to complete it, but then it kind of caved in on itself because it's made mostly from earth and not rock. Oh, hon, I take it you're going first?
Of course.
All right, we need to go up and into the tunnel. Here I come. Oh, I can't bend that far.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
Sorry for the butt shot, everybody. Welcome to Middle Tunnel. It is about a half a mile from where we parked. And you do have to crawl down into it. I mean, you can't go that far because of the bat bar, but you know what? Poor bats are,
Suffering.
yeah, they're suffering bad, so we have the same problem in New Hampshire. So, but this is cool.
It is cool. Let's go check behind the bars. Okay, here's behind the bars.
Just so you know, the moisture, you can feel it in here. The bars are soaking wet.
Whoa,
What?
look at the bugs.
Oh, holy Toledo.
Okay, South Carolina people, what are those?
Yeah, this place is full of spiders. You don't like spiders and snakes, don't bring a light. Hey look, there's an oar in there. There's my bride coming out of the tunnel.
Oh,
Warm out here, huh?
yes,
These tunnels are definitely cool.
definitely.
I was curious how the 3 tunnels going through the Blue Ridge were going to be interconnected. And now I know. Again, saddle tunnel. Train would come through, following the trail that we're going to take, which would be the rail. But when it got here, where Middle Tunnel is, it would go through Middle Tunnel, continue going along through the parking lot over by where StumpHouse Tunnel was, and then continue on. And then it would be out of South Carolina. There'd be no more tunnels. We're coming up to this walkway in the middle of the woods. We're both kind of anxious, wondering where the tunnel is and how much of it we'll be able to see and be able to get to. Supposedly it is submerged and you can only see the opening.
You can see those telltale signs.
Yeah.
We must be here.
Saddle Tunnel, the last tunnel of the Blue Ridge Railroad that, well, never came to be. And as much as we'd love to take you inside, yeah, I don't think so. We didn't bring scuba suits.
Chuck's exploring. Use your stick behind you and see if the tunnel is deep.
Sure, why not? I can see. It's probably About 8 inches, but it looks like it goes down.
Ah. Don't fall.
Stop! That's fine coming out here.
It's very pretty in here, though.
Yes, it is.
So that brings you to all 3 tunnels on this trip. But there's one thing we want to show you before we go.
And that thing starts here and goes over the edge down to where the mill used to be, where the black powder was made for building the tunnels. But we're done talking about the tunnels.
Welcome to Issaqueena Falls, named after a Creek maiden taken by the Cherokee Indians. Legend says she fell in love with a white trader named Alan Francis. After overhearing the Cherokees intended to attack the frontier settlement, she went to warn Alan's trading post.
Yeah, and after she did that, fearing the Cherokees because of what she did, she stayed with Alan. They married, they had a child, and then they moved to StumpHouse and they built a home. Later, the Cherokee chief was angered by the white settlers, so he sent his warriors to go capture Issaqueena. When she saw them, she ran towards these falls because she knew that the warriors feared the evil spirits that lived in them.
She pretended to leap to her death, but she really hid on this ledge behind the falls.
Did she really, hun? Or is this her skull?
I think she just left it there.
All right, everyone, there you go. We brought you all 3 tunnels here at StumpHouse Mountain. We brought you over to Issaqueena Falls. That's all of it. So if you like what you saw, we'd appreciate that thumbs up as always. You want to follow along on all of our adventures? Right down there in the corner, just click it and you are in. Because until our next adventure,
The end.